Honestly, it was the lawfare that kind of brought me off the sidelines. It's really disgusting behavior because this is how you descend into a complete banana republic with military coups and military rule. The moment you can start weaponizing the law against your enemies selectively, that's the beginning of the end. There was a famous dictator who said something like, for my friends, anything, for my enemies, the law, right? And what he meant by that is
Mm-hmm.
once you're in charge and you get to dictate who the law applies to, you're in a very slippery slope. And slippery slopes are real, by the way, as we know. Um, as a clear example, um, if you were to actually look at the charges that were brought against Trump, and I actually read them quite carefully. I mean, these were really trumped up. They were really made up. You violated the statute of limitations. You tried to drum things up into a felony when there was no evidence of such. It was a miscategorization of business expenses. When you have complex business dealings like I do and like many people do, you can always find something. So it's this selective prosecution. It's a selective persecution that allows them to get away with this. A lot of the progressive DA movement that comes out of George Soros and others is based on this understanding that, hey, actually, we can choose whether or not to prosecute certain people. And these are elected offices that are, that either are in territory where the voters are really favorable to us, or they're really cheap to run because there's no organized opposition. So let's just organize and take over prosecution. That's what happened in San Francisco. If you want the case against Kamala Harris, it's the fact that she was DA at San Francisco, and San Francisco is a mess. And in fact, afterwards, she advocated for George Gascon, who's the guy who's destroying LA, through basically not prosecuting criminals and going after business owners. So this selective prosecution thing is a disaster. You can take a deep blue or deep red state. You can take a deep blue or deep red jury. You can basically creatively interpret these infinite laws that we have to find anybody guilty of a crime. Like I think there's that other famous saying, like, you find me the man and I'll find you the crime, or give me
Mm-hmm.
6 sentences written by any honest man and I will find the crime. So you can always find a crime that somebody is guilty of violating. So the moment you start breaking down this wall and you get into weaponizing justice, Hillary Clinton blew up her email server and wiped it with bleach bit. There was no consequences from that. Turns out the Hunter Biden laptop was real. Who knew, right? Even though we were told it was all misinformation by the intelligence agencies. This is the scary stuff. This is the stuff that ends a republic or turns into a one-party state, better known as a dictatorship. China is a one-party state. North Korea is a one-party state. So I don't use the words one-party state lightly. But I think the weaponization of the justice system, the engagement and willingness to go into lawfare, that is the thing that will lead to violence. That is the thing that will lead to a dissolution and a breakup and something worse in the United States. So I think
Mm-hmm.
when these guys start playing with going after their political enemies, when Alvin Bragg runs on the explicit campaign to take down Trump, and then they go hunting through and looking for anything and drumming up any charge and go after him in the most favorable juries in the most favorable part of the country, and then just control the evidence and control the narrative. That is the beginning of the end. And the people who in Silicon Valley and the donors who are out there supporting this lawfare, they're dead to me. I mean, these people are destroying the ground on which they stand. Do they think they won't be next? When you destroy the
Yeah.
institutions
I
of
hope they will
fairness
be.
and merit, yeah, eventually you're the ones who get thrown up against the wall. But that's what it does. It creates this revenge fantasy, right? Now you want
I
to
mean,
get
that's the
back
only
at
way they're
them.
going to learn.
It's going to be a sad state of affairs.
Your quotes reminded me of this guy we know we believe is somewhat of a connected guy. And he has this saying, which I think could be Kamala Harris's campaign slogan, depending on who she's talking to. I'll do anything for you and anything to you. It's very
Yeah,
scary.
it's mobster behavior, right?
Yeah.
The ends justify the means for these people. It's like, well, this is the thing about religions, and Marxism is a religious movement. And so Alvin Bragg, I don't think is coordinated necessarily by the DOJ, although there's a little bit of evidence of that. But I think it's much more that just when you take a religion and you spread it and you get these fervent adherents, these true believers. And, like I said, like when I was young, I was growing up under the Christian right, and now I'm growing up against the Marxist left, but they have their own religions. When you have these religious fanatics, you get decentralized enforcement of the religion, and each one is trying to outdo the next one to show how much of a true believer they are. So the Alvin Braggs of the world are going to get scalps, and they're going to get feathers in their cap. They're going to get, they're going to become famous, and they're going to become lots of people cheering them on if they go ahead and they take down these people that everybody hates. So they made Trump into the devil. And it's hilarious because, before he ran for office, he was just a businessman and a Democrat,
who
if
they
I
all
remember correctly.
curry favor
Yeah.
with.